Well, welcome. This session that we're looking at today came out of uh, actually Gretchen and Mariah, who were saying, "Hey, I think there's a need for people to learn a little bit more about Google Forms." I'll tell you now, if you've used them before, I apologize because we're going to approach this as though, for the most part, we are beginners going into Google Forms. So if for some of you, if this is redundant, I apologize. I will try not to get on the flip side. I don't want to get too crazy with some of the specific features. You can get as advanced as you want as well, but I also don't want to overwhelm people because at the end of the day, what I understand based on what people need is a platform to be able to collect some data. And so that's really the big reason that we are looking at Google Forms today. So, well, again, welcome. This is all about Google Forms, and we are going to get right into it. Group, as far as what we're going to accomplish today, we're going to obviously identify a purpose. I think we have a little bit already. There are different ways that you can get into Google Forms, so we'll talk about the waffle start. We're going to talk about titling, the style, the layout, preview, settings, questions, and then of course the biggest reason that we're even using forms will be data. Now I will tell you that we've used, and I know you have probably used Google Forms before. You've taken surveys before, so you know what it ultimately looks like when it comes your way. Maybe you've created a form yourself, and but you haven't really gone into some of the analytics of taking a look at the results of the form. We'll take a look at all of that so that hopefully by the end of this session, you'll have a good idea to create your own form, have a little fun with it, maybe even try some logic branching in there. So it's a tool. There are a lot other survey tools out there, but I'll tell you right now, I actually think Google Forms does an excellent job as a survey tool. So if you get into a Google search and you're wondering, I wonder if there's some other platform out there that's going to be able to create a survey like SurveyMonkey or something else, you can go there. I just like how, because we're moving in this Google direction and we all know Google's taking over the world, that at least this is another tool that integrates with products that we already use. And it does a nice job and it keeps advancing. So I know there's a lot to understand, but let's just get right into it. First of all, it is free, it's flexible, can be used for surveys, can be used for quizzes, whatever you want to do. And of course, you can easily analyze those results. So what we're going to do is jump right into it. And the best way to jump into it is go to your Google page. Now, you'll want to make sure that you're actually logged in to your sslcs.org domain. And again, what does that mean? You should be in Google. When you click on that icon up in the upper right corner, obviously you're going to see that it says sslcs.org. There are two good ways. Oops, I don't know where I went. Coronavirus tips, fantastic. There are two good ways, by the way, to get into Google Forms. You can go the Google Drive route, and let me show you that quickly. There's a faster way to go, of course, through the waffle, but if you really want to go to Google Drive, because this is where all your forms will be stored, all you have to do is click on New, and then if you go to More, you can see Google Forms right there. You can easily click on that, and you can get into a blank Google form. Now, that's kind of the long route to actually get into a Google form from that Google menu. So what I would highly recommend, oops, you know what? We've got some people, I think, that are trying to get in. And there we go. All right, we are good. Okay, so we're going to go back to that Google page again, where we can get to the generic waffle, because I want you to see it from that page. So we click on the waffle again, and the waffle is this item right here that looks like a waffle iron. And we just go straight into Google Forms. Now, there's a reason I do like going into Google Forms for the first time from this app, from the waffle, because once you click on it, you'll get to this page which doesn't necessarily show up, obviously, when you go from Google Drive and you go to start up a brand new form. So what's interesting about this is you can start up with a blank form by clicking on either one of these two, but there are some templates that you can actually look at. And if you click on this template gallery and you go to general, you can see they have some that are already made up that you can just copy that to your own drive and edit over that, and you are good to go. So keep that in mind if you are looking for a quick fix for a survey. But you know what? We're actually going to make our own blank quiz. We're going to start from scratch. And so we're going to click on blank quiz. And that will bring up this page right here. Now, the first thing that I would do is once you get into that blank quiz, okay, you're looking at this and maybe you're thinking, I'm going to title this blank quiz right here. Very simple. It says blank quiz. I'm going to put in sample quiz, or again, this could be a survey for parents as well. But one thing you'll notice is it still says sample quiz right there, but up in the upper left corner, it does not say sample quiz. It still says blank quiz. Well, what's recorded in Google Drive, if you go to find this form in Google Drive, it'll look for this name up in the upper left corner. So that's why I would not title from right there. I would actually go to the upper left corner and I would type in sample quiz, and notice what happens. It automatically carries over into the title of your actual quiz that people will see. But this way it's titled the same thing that you really need when you are going back to Google Drive to find that file. So this again is the creation page. And a few things that you should know about the creation page. First of all, if you want to star it, just like all Google Drive documents, when you click on star in Google Drive, anything that you've starred will pop to the top. That's a quick and easy way to find often used documents in Google Drive. So you can star that right from the start if you want. You can also go right into your folder, take a look at where it is. That's just quick access to that. At this point, you also have questions, you have responses. We're going to get into that in a little bit. You've got some icons over here. You can customize the theme. Now, I will tell you, it's funny because I got the question this morning from someone. I love Google Classroom, but every time I try to change the banner in Google Classroom, it stays dark, and I don't like it so dark. Here's the thing about Google products. There are some things that just are the way they are. It's very difficult to change some of the setting features, but they do offer you some. So if you click on the palette, you'll see that you are able to choose an image for your quiz or your survey. You can also choose a theme. Now notice what happens if I actually choose an image. They've got these default ones right here that you can go right to. And we're going to go to work and school. And you know what? This looks like Sheffield. I don't know what part of Sheffield that looks like, but it looks like Sheffield, the colors. So we're going to click on that. And notice automatically what happens to the colors in my form. It automatically changes the colors. So that's kind of nice. You know, kind of says, oh, your image has this. Well, here are some colors that'll work well with that. So it's kind of a neat little tool. But you can change it whatever you want, of course, with that. So that's about as exciting. Unless you want to change your font style, you can do that. But for the most part, I think Basic is a good font to be able to use for surveys. So that is your theme. If at any point you're wondering, as you're creating questions, I don't know what this thing is going to look like, you can click on this icon right here that looks like an eyeball, and that will preview what that form looks like. So in fact, if you want a response to your quiz to be able to see what answers look like, you can actually fill out the preview quiz or survey and it'll put results into that. You can actually see what it looks like to have responses. And then lastly, you've got this settings option right here in the gear. And this is important because several items here. First of all, if you really want to make sure that you are collecting a survey or a quiz from the right person, the one thing that you can do is check mark collect email addresses. And then you'll get that within the spreadsheet or the responses information that you get from your form. Additionally, if down here, restrict to users in Sheffield, Lake City Schools and its trusted organizations, there's a problem with that. If you're sending this out for special ed and you want people to be able to do this to their personal Google account and they don't have an sslcs.org account, you probably do not want that checked. Another item, if you're using this and you really only want to get a survey one per family, or let's say this is a quiz and you only want to get one quiz per kid, then again, you want to limit that to one response so you can click that. Now, this is also kind of an interesting setting. What do you want your individuals to be able to do after they fill out the form? So right here, do you want them to be able to edit it after they submit the form? Now for a quiz, maybe that's not such a good idea, but for a survey, if you want them to be able to do that, obviously you can check mark that. All right, and this one right here, summary charts and text responses, maybe for a quiz that's kind of okay if you want to. Otherwise, usually for surveys, I don't check that one, but again, that's completely up to you. For presentation, if you have a long survey, maybe you want to show a progress bar, but we all know how we feel about long surveys. So I would highly recommend that if you do use Google Forms to collect data from your parents or from your kids, again, just keep in mind how tolerant we are of very, very long surveys. This right here is kind of interesting. Later on, when I show you questions and how to make questions, you'll see that we're able to shuffle the answers. If you want to create a quiz, and this isn't a survey, you can actually click on this one right here, shuffle question order, and it will do just that. All right, and lastly, if you want to put a nice little message, you could put, hey, thank you for taking my survey or my quiz. You could put that right there if you would like. And lastly, as far as these three tabs at the top of general, presentation, and quizzes, if this is a quiz, make sure that it is actually marked as a quiz. Google Classroom easily integrates, obviously, with Google Forms. You could create a Google form directly from Google Classroom. And if you are using it that way, make sure it's labeled as a quiz, because the other thing it does is it makes it possible to auto-correct. So make sure that it is marked as a quiz. This feature right here, if you are back in school, if we get back to the physical classroom and you know you have Chromebooks that are sslcs.org Chromebooks, from the school itself, you can actually turn on this locked mode and it will basically lock down that quiz so students can't go out of that tab if they're taking a quiz. And that's kind of nice. Now, if you're sending this out as a survey, you don't want to check that because, again, we don't have everyone who's taking the survey using a district Chromebook, so you wouldn't want to have that. Again, for a grade, if you want to release the grade, and again, you could put down what you want respondents to see, but that again is if you are using it as a quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And again, where did we get all that? That was from the gear. There are a few more settings if you click on the three dots to the left of your sslcs.org image. And you can see right here, you can add collaborators. So if you want to have other special ed people collaborating on this form, great, you can do that. If you have other teachers, again, that you want to be able to do that. If you want to get add-ons for Google Forms, which we're not going to talk about add-ons today, you can do that as well. And that's kind of the big thing right there off of those three dots. you are at the point where you are ready to start playing around with the survey or the quiz. And we're in question mode. We're not in response mode yet, obviously. So when you get in there, you can put in any kind of explanation you want. Please take the survey below, and you are there. Now, at this point, you do have a lot of options. And let's first of all start by creating a simple question. So you can see right there, they've already given you an untitled question. And when you get into the questions, it'll say, hey, all right, why don't you start with your question first? If I say, how is your day going? What's interesting about artificial intelligence, if this does this here, usually it does, maybe it won't, of course, because I'm trying to show you, it can usually pick up what you're trying to do. So right now, maybe it thinks that this is a multiple choice question, but let's say I wanted extended response. So I could actually get more of an extended response. I can put it on a paragraph, and then we've got the long answer text. I think the reason it didn't go right to this before is because it thought I was going to give options like great, fantastic, terrible, mediocre. So you can create different types of responses, of course, based on that. Now, there are lots of options. Now, let's say you want to be able to use this for getting exact data. We all know whether it's a survey or a quiz, if you do use extended response or long answer text, you're not able to autocorrect it. And it's difficult, obviously, to quantify that information if it's a long answer text. Also, of course, if it is a quiz and you're using it for a quiz, you can't autocorrect. You will have to go in and check it, and you will have to assign points to it after you do check it. So let's do this first. Let's actually make this a multiple choice, and we're going to put in great, and we're going to put in okay, and we're going to put in my plant died. Now, I don't know where that last answer comes from, but maybe that is something that happened to someone. So those are the three options that we have right now. Now, if you want this to be a quiz and not just a survey, obviously you have to have an answer key. So you have to click on answer key, and then you can pick which one it's supposed to be. Now, obviously, I don't know how you pick a correct answer in this one, but we'll say that it's great. It's supposed to be great. Here's the other thing, especially if you're putting this in Google Classroom, you do want to assign points to it. So we're just going to make this real simple and say that it's worth 1 point. And you can even, by the way, put in some answer feedback, which is kind of nice. So if someone does give an incorrect response, you can put in a link. You could put a video into a lesson that talks about that question. So that's kind of nice. Or you could put in, don't forget that you have to look outside. And then you know how your day is going. And again, I don't exactly know what that means, but we could save that in case they do get an incorrect answer. So that's nice. You're giving immediate feedback to that student if you are using this for a quiz. Now, you can also do it for a survey too if you really want to give feedback to parents who put in specific responses. All right. At this point, let's see, we're going to say that that one is done. And let's say we want to add a new question at this time. So we're going to add a new question. And this one, we are going to use the linear scale. And so we could say on a scale of 1 to 5, how is distance learning going for your family? And then they can put that in. Now, again, you can change. If you want this to be 1 to 10, great. You could put that down there. All of a sudden now you are starting to get some answers outside of the extended response answer that gives you quantifiable data that you can work with. And you can also, of course, label what the 1 means and what the 10 means here. Of course, I made that 10 now. Let's go back to 5 because that's in the question. 1 is going to be awful, and 5 is going to be awesome. All right. Now, this is kind of interesting because for the answer key, if you click on that, again, I don't know that you could really go for a specific answer for that. So that's probably not going to help you out much. So this one definitely works out well for a survey. For a quiz for a student, obviously, maybe it's not as good. I do want to show you a couple of items down at the bottom. If you take a look in the lower right corner of that window that we just created for our linear scale question, you've got 3 options. If you tend to duplicate questions, or maybe you have a question that if you just changed one word, that's the next question. Well, by all means, click on the duplicate, and then you can create that question again. Also, if you want to trash it, we all know that one, the trash can. But if you want it to be required, the person will not be able to submit this form unless they answer that question. So you can do that by clicking required. Also, at one point I told you in the settings that you could shuffle the questions. Well, within the question itself, you can also shuffle answers. And you do that by clicking on the 3 dots in the lower right. And it's probably not going to let us do that because it's a Likert scale. So what I'm going to do is actually go back to this one, our multiple choice, and you'll see shuffle option order. That gives us the option to at least do that. So again, if it's a quiz, that's not a bad idea. If it's a survey, you don't really care if those are shuffled or not. All right, let's say you end up with a special ed survey that you want people to know that you're focused on different areas. So you're going to put questions into topical areas. That's another feature that you can include within a Google form. So if you actually come down here to the T, you can add a title and a description. Now you'll notice this title went here. Now maybe I don't want it there. And you'll notice on the questions as well as this title box, you do have what looks like a mini waffle right there. You can just click and drag that and put that anywhere that you want. So let's just say that this first section is all about mindset. So we want people to know that's our mindset section. But we want to add another one that is down here that is asking about distance learning. So now we can have our own distance learning section to this form, to this survey. Now, let's say for some reason, and it all depends on how advanced you want to get. Because again, you could even at the very beginning, let's say that this is a survey for your parents and you're trying to collect some information and you've created a video that you want to have at the very beginning of the quiz because you want to be able to talk to your parents. You want to be able to say, hey, parents, I'm trying this different way to collect some information to make sure that I'm best serving you and what we need to be able to do as a teacher during this distance learning time. You can actually embed a video by going down to here and click on that add video link. And if you have your own YouTube channel, obviously you can copy that URL address. If you don't, any URL address that you have, coming through YouTube can work. If you don't know how to set up your own YouTube channel, let me know. I'm happy to help you. It's very easy to do, but you could pull those videos into your quiz. So let's say, welcome to my classroom. I'm curious if there's even anything out there that is about welcoming people to my classroom. Fantastic. By the way, I have no clue what this is, but we are going to insert that baby anyway. And there it is. And I want to move that to the top because that's going to be the first thing that my person sees. Now, by the way, once you do incorporate this video, you can put a title to it and please watch You can also resize that video. If you click on the video, you'll get your typical corner dots that you can expand so that it actually fills up that entire page. And now all of a sudden at the very beginning of your survey or your quiz, you've got this video. Or maybe, just maybe, you want to be able to use this for a way to get formative assessment for a student. So they watch this and then you have questions after the video. Just another way to be able to get some information. All right, so there's our welcome video. By the way, you can also add images as well, not just videos. And speaking of images, let's actually try adding a new question in our mindset section where we can actually add images to the question. So how is your day? Let's say we're working with really young students. We know that the parent is there that's helping out, but we want to make these answers as simple as we possibly can here. And so we're going to say, all right, let's say great. We can even use titles, but we're going to add some images as well. Good and not good. But we're going to add some images. All you do is click on the image icon off to the right of that option. And you can actually go to a Google image search, and we're going to put in happy face. Oh, yeah. That's definitely. There we go. And what should happen is that happy face shows up. Now let's say for good, and we go into our lovely Google search, and let's just see okay face. I don't know what's going to come up for okay face, but we're going to try it. Oh, that is an okay face. The other ones honestly scare me. Okay. And not good. We're going to go angry face. And after we do this, by the way, I want to be able to show you what it looks like in the preview. Now, keep in mind, by the way, that when you use this, this can be used to gauge how students are feeling about a process. So we can use something as simple as this with these picture codes. And then when we go to, make sure we're good there, we're going to click on required. Let's go to preview. This is now what that looks like. So what have we done? We, of course, have our picture at the top. We've titled it. We have our welcome video. We've put a title to our section in this Google form. You'll notice what it did to the answers to the question. By the way, what a great way to work on vocabulary as well. So if you do want to really reinforce vocabulary, you could put an image with the word there. And then there's our question. We have our new section of distance learning, and that's what that Likert scale looks like at this point. Let's actually take the quiz. So remember, this is preview mode, by the way, but we're going to take it. My day has been great. My day is really great. Distance learning, it's been awesome. And that's right, we duplicated that. We're going to say, you know, let's give it something else. We'll give that one something else. So I submit this. When I go back to where I was creating this, notice what has changed. It is now showing me that I do have a response. So if you click on responses, this is now entering the next stage. So this is the data we all want, and there are different ways that you can pull this data, okay? First of all, if you click on this green icon for Google Sheets, you can actually pull up all this data within a Google Sheet. So if you want to be able to use a spreadsheet and crunch it and add formulas, you can do all that stuff. There are add-ons that also will take that data and input it into different formats. But again, that's more of an advanced section that I wouldn't even worry about right now. Now, if you click on the three dots to the right, what does that give you? That also gives you the option to download all those responses that you just got, okay? And at this point, I think that's probably the best part of that one right there, because I doubt you're going to actually change the response destination. So we're just going to leave it the way that it is. Now, by the way, if you get to the point that you are done accepting responses, you can click on this and it will lock it down. So you're not taking any more. So let's say, for example, you do have a quiz that you're using for a class. You can eventually say, look, it's way past due. Can't use it anymore. All right, lastly here, as far as responses, you've got 3 tabs at the top that are the important ones to take a look at. You've got your summary tab, question tab, and individual tab. And especially with looking at a lot of information from a lot of kids and parents, I love the question tab because you can really break down that data. But the summary tab, will start there. Notice what you get. You can get these lovely little graphs that tell you exactly how someone's done. It actually does break it down into average, median, and range, which is really nice. It'll tell you how many people have responded. Obviously, we've only had 1 person respond here. And then down here, our next one, obviously you can see it did collect my email. And at this point, again, if you want to be able to release scores, you can do that. And that's going into, especially with Google Classroom, that's basically saying Google Classroom can get these scores. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Again, take a look at the data. This is the summary. We've only had 1 person respond, but if you have 30, you'll notice the pie chart's going to look a little differently. You've got bar graphs. It breaks it all down for you, which is really, really nice. But let's say you really want to see how everyone responded to a specific question. And you want to talk about great formative assessment. I mean, if you see a question where only 3 of 10 kids got this right, that's a good reason to obviously go back and either help those students, or at least if it's a parent survey, wow, maybe that's a big problem area that you have to take care of. But how is your day going? All those responses would be listed right there. And it's a very easy way to see what people are saying. Now, if you want to go from question to question, by the way, you'll notice that you can toggle up on the top right here. We can go back to question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and look at all of them. Also, by the way, this is a very easy way to grade responses. So if you know you have a bunch of quiz questions, you can go through and just one by one start grading these as well. And that's kind of an easy way to do that, which is nice. You can also go through individual. So we've only had 1 person respond, so you're only going to get this. However, if you had, again, 10 people responding to this, you would have 10 numbers up here that you could flip between 1 person to the next. So those are the 3 ways through those tabs that you're able to get that data. I do want to show you, before we open this up for more questions, what it looks like when you get that spreadsheet. Because if I do click on that Google spreadsheet, we're going to, actually we're going to create a new spreadsheet because I haven't done anything with this form before. It will open this up in my Google Drive. And what's interesting about the results? Number 1, you do have your timestamp that's coming in. Keep in mind, we asked it to collect the email address. There's our score. How was your day? Here are the responses. And you've got everything you need right there. And however you want to obviously manipulate the data in a spreadsheet, you can do that. If you feel more comfortable in Excel and not Sheets, obviously you can take this spreadsheet and download it as an Excel spreadsheet, which is fine. So that is how you ultimately end up getting that data.